What's up, everybody? Today we're going to talk about how to fit 35s on your 4th gen 4Runner. All right, let's get serious here, folks. We got to talk about these 35s. So right now we're going to be talking about how to fit 35s in the 4th gen 4Runner. This video, we're going to comprise a few different things here, guys. I'm not going to try to sell you too much, but if you do want to buy stuff, use my links. But in all seriousness, guys, today we're going to be talking about what you need to do to fit 35s, what you could do, and things you probably actually don't need to do. We're going to talk about my tire setup. We're going to talk about what I got for 35s, the wheel choice I went with, and why I did that. We're going to talk about the rear end. We're going to talk about what you need to do on the rear end of the 4Runner to fit a 35. And of course, we're actually also going to talk about the front end. Who could forget the front end? And how do you fit 35s when you still got to turn and do all that jazz? And to end things, we're going to take a big step back and talk about even if it's worth it. Is all this work worth it? Together, we can answer that question. All right, as promised, let's start with the wheel setup here, guys. And so when we're talking 35s, that means that you have a 35-inch tire. This itself, tire, wheel, tire. Just learned that. So what we have here, we have a KMC Lobo. This is a 17-inch wheel. It's a negative 38 offset. What that means is where the hub mounts to it is going to be closer this direction. That means you're going to get that nice poke. If you have a positive offset wheel, that means it's going to mount a little bit farther this direction, which means you're going to tuck it a little bit more behind that fender line. Do you need negative 38 millimeter offset wheels? We're going to talk about that in a little bit. The short and sweet is, no, you don't. The reason I got these is I like that poke. A little fancy. But all that to say, we also got a 35-inch tire on here. You could put a 33 on these, you could put a 31 on these, but we got a 35. What does that mean? This is a 35-inch diameter tire. These are Falcon AT3Ws. These are an all-terrain tire. The measurement is 35 times 12.5 times 17. 17 being the radius of the wheel, 12 being the width, 35 being the diameter. Makes sense. You might be thinking to yourself, well, those are a lot of cool numbers. What did the 4Runner come with stock? Well, stock, I believe it was about a 31. Some people push it to a 32. We're looking at 265 70 17s. Sometimes even a 265 65 17. You're going up pretty far when you're putting these bad boys on. You might be thinking to yourself, well, that's about 4 inches. Well, 4 inches probably makes a difference. One more thing to mention with these tires. When you go up sizes, the size ain't the only thing going up, it's also the weight. These weigh a whole lot more than my 33s, a whole lot more than my stock tires. What does that mean? Your gas mileage is gonna go down. It ain't gonna be the same. Nothing was the same since you put 35s on. My wallet's lighter, my bank account's lighter, my stress is higher, my life is ruined, but I got big tires though. Is what some people might say. I wouldn't say stuff like that, it's weird. But these are a little bit heavier. What that means is you're gonna have to probably re-gear. Oh, my cameraman is just losing it. This wasn't even a good joke. Pull it together, Smalls. So anyways, we got a heavier tire, which means you're gonna have to re-gear because the stock transmission is used to moving a wheel that is smaller in diameter, weighs less, and so you're gonna be having gear searching on the highway. What that means is you're gonna be going, and you're like, please, for the love of God, just change gears, man. Can't be that hard. Give me a button to do it with. I wish I had a manual. That's what happens. It can be annoying. It can also kill your fuel economy. But if you re-gear to different gears, you can make it happen. Now, of course, when you do put the 35 on, guys, a lot of people are saying, how do you fit them? Well, why is there a problem with fitting 35s to begin with? Why can't I put a 37 on here? Why couldn't I put a 39? You see, the issue is that there are fixed points on the 4Runner. So, for example, you have your body mount in here, you have your frame, you have your fenders. These don't necessarily move when you increase the size of tire. And so the tire is actually just coming farther out this direction. Especially if you're having a negative offset wheel, you're effectively putting the wheel out farther this way, which is kind of increasing that turning radius, so you're gonna hit more when you're turning when it comes to fenders. So, what does that mean? Well, Dylan, can I get a magic part that makes it all easier? Can I put on a spacer? If you put on a spacer, you're actually gonna make your problem worse, because remember, you're moving the wheel out, which is making all this hit more stuff. So what do we need to do? We need to trim. This is where we're going to start talking about what you need to do to your vehicle to fit the 4th gen with 35s. Let's get started on the back. So when it comes to the rear of the vehicle, it's actually not that hard as opposed to the front. Now, of course, putting a bigger wheel back here is going to require some trimming, and if you come in here, I can kind of show you what you have to trim. Now, of course, if you're running stock mud flaps, you're gonna have to trim those as the angle kind of comes down like this. You see what we've done here is we've actually trimmed this out wide, and we could probably even trim it a little bit more. But then if you look really closely, I just have a simple chain setup that pulls this mud flap back so it doesn't hit. If we're wheeling and dealing this truck, this is gonna end up hitting here again. So what I would like to do is actually probably make a little bit more aggressive of a cut there, but you're gonna have to start there for starters. On the front here, some people end up pushing the wheel back by adjusting the control arms and everything like that. I haven't bothered to do that because I really don't wheel this truck too hard. It's my daily driver after all. And so I haven't done that. But some people will, like I just said, kind of move that back. They can get adjustable control arms, all that kind of jazz, and move it back. You don't have to. Someone, of course, will argue with me on this, I can guarantee it. But in the case of daily driving, you don't have to. What you do probably want to do is you want to have a little bit of a lift. Now, this is a whole nother subject that a lot of people have discussed to death. Tinker's Adventure has some great videos on this. Fitting wheels doesn't necessarily have to do with lift, it has to do with clearance and all that kind of jazz. Watch his video on that. For my sake, all I have back here is I did a X-Rays Delete, and so I have 2-inch lift springs in the back using the Icon conversion kit, and then I just have some simple Fox remote resi shocks. The only other thing you might notice if you come in really close here is that you see this top nut on the shock. Normally on a lot of vehicles, you won't be able to see that. That's because what we've done is actually a body lift. And now I'm gonna introduce you guys quickly if you haven't heard of body lifts before. You see the truck basically has these things called body mounts. The body of the truck mounts on the frame. There's this little rubber bushing on top. And then what you can do is you can get these little spacers. They're like polyurethane spacers, and they space on top. That means the body sits a tiny bit higher. With the 4th gen, I have a 0.5, so half-inch body lift. I find this to be the perfect amount as you're not really messing with the steering geometry. You don't need a steering spacer. You don't need a rad drop. The bumper gap, it's pretty minimal, but it also gives you that really small half-inch of lift on the body, and so it does help with clearance and, for example, getting to that chock nut, which is really nice. For the record, I also still have my rear sway bar attached just because it's going to help way more, especially if you're considering removing both of them. Studies have kind of shown keep the rear one on, remove the front, but the rear one provides a lot of help when it comes to driving, and it doesn't actually change much of the articulation angles and everything. Still have the rear sway bar, and I also have not gotten extended brake lines. Some people could, some people will, and you know what, why not? If you're gonna be doing your brakes anyways, throw some on. They're cheap, they're easy. I haven't personally done it. Will I do it in the future? That's probably one of the things I'm still looking to do. All right, let's talk about the front. There's a lot to cover here, guys. I'm gonna try and make it as easy as I can. We're gonna start with suspension, talk about control arms, and then talk about trimming. Here we go. So for suspension, guys, I have Dobinso0ns. I love my Dobinso0ns. They're actually fantastic, not just because they're teal, but because they ride so nice. They're a brilliant feel. I especially love them with a little bit of the heavier 35-inch tire. I find they control them well. And so what we have up front, guys, we have Dobinso0ns IMS extended travel coilovers. These are fantastic, would highly recommend them. I have them set to about 3 inches of lift. You can go a little bit lower if you want to 2.5. Wouldn't recommend going much higher than that due to your CV angles. If we come over a little bit, we can see that we have an aftermarket upper control arm. Right here, I got some JBAs. These are the heavy-duty high-caster aftermarket upper control arms. And of course, we do have a great relationship with JBA, and you can get some free merch if you use our discount code. But all that to say, if you are doing a lift and it's over 2.5 inches, you usually want to get new upper control arms. The reason for that is you want to maintain your alignment angles, guys. If you don't replace these, your alignment angles can get all out of whack. Your geometry is going to be a little bit skewed. And plus, it's usually good to replace your ball joints, your upper ball joints. If you are going to be doing all this heavy lifting and doing all that kind of stuff, get a good setup you can depend on. You're not going to worry if you need to replace it. So up top, we got the high caster heavy duty control arms. These are great. I've had no issues with it all, and they've helped me to correct the alignment angles for sure. But the biggest piece of the alignment angle that we need to talk about is the lower control arm. This right here is a lower control arm. You see, lower control arms are incredibly important as they help with alignment angles on the 4th gen and other 4Runners and other Tacomas more than any other spec on your vehicle. You see, on the lower control arm, you have these things called cams. You have these cams here. What these cams do is they set your camber and they also set your caster angles. You need to be able to move your cams to get a proper alignment. The problem is, a lot of times on these Toyotas, the lower cams will be seized and you're gonna have to cut out your control arms and fully replace them. I personally had mine seized, and so I actually switched to these Super Pros. These Super Pros have been fantastic. I haven't had any issues with them, and they've actually added a little bit of offset. You can get a set of Super Pros that allow you to add a little bit more offset, which is going to help to move the wheel forwards, which is good. Positive caster is good because that's going to push the wheel forwards away from your body mount, and that's what we're going to talk about next. All right, speaking of trimming body mounts and all that jazz, there's some pretty strange people over there, not gonna lie. Dude was kind of weird. Yeah, anyways, he told me that I can't park here and I need to go back to the garage, so we're gonna do that now. 1 second. Whoa, crazy, how are we in the garage now? Why am I wearing a different shirt? Who knows? So now, guys, what we're gonna do, we're gonna show you everything in the front that has to do with the pinch weld, with the fender trimming, and the body mount. So let's get to it. All right, so starting here, we got 3 kind of components that you need to trim. The first is the body mount. Like we talked about, this is where you put your body lift spacer. We got the 0.5 spacer. You don't have to trim it like this. I just did that because that was the last bit of clearance I was rubbing on and I couldn't find a better solution. I'll probably weld something on eventually. You can leave it open. I wouldn't recommend that. This is probably as open as I would recommend leaving it. I would like to close this, but like I said, I was just rubbing on this last part here. So normally the body mount comes out to here, like that. So you want to cut it off like that. You need to do that to fit the tire. Second thing is, if we look right here, you will see that there is a pinch weld. If you have a vehicle, like a 4th gen, you're going to have a pinch weld here. It's right here. It's this weld. It's literally a pinch. And what you want to do is you want to grind lines in it, bzz, 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 and then hit it down with a hammer. You're probably saying, where is the pinch weld? That's because there's one more thing to do here. And if you look over here, we have this fender liner. I've put a little actual piece of plastic here to protect it. The fender liner is cut starting up top and going down here. We've cut the fender liner and we've trimmed this fender back quite a bit. It used to be like this. That's going to give us access A, to the pinch weld, but B, to make sure that this doesn't rub. If you look to the side, you can kind of see how much I've actually trimmed it. Pretty considerable. Like I said, trimmed all the way down here too. This used to stick up right about here. It would go like that. We put that quite a bit back. And so guys, that is pretty much everything you need to do inside the front fender. And so let's get back to the country. What the heck? Let's get back to where we were. Back to work, guys. Here we go. So we just talked about all that good stuff, guys, when it came to trimming the fender, it came to trimming the body mount, and now we get to talk about a few more things in the front of the vehicle here. Of course, if you have a stock bumper, be prepared to chop nearly half of that thing off. You're gonna have to make a lot of room for this to be able to fully turn and all that kind of stuff. When it comes to sway bar end links, we still have our front sway bar on. We still have stock end links. You could get extendable ones. They could be great. I think more often than not, when I think about this, I'm probably just gonna ditch the sway bar in the future. A little bit more fun, a little bit more fear of God when it comes to driving on on-ramps and on-ramps, and if there's any bit of wind, this thing is gonna tip. I kinda like to live on my toes, so I might end up doing that. Other thing to mention, we don't have extended brake lines. One thing that I would probably look into that might be beneficial in the future. Keep in mind, this is not a crawler. This is not doing crazy articulation out there. This is a daily driver for now. The last thing to mention is that you also don't have a diff drop. You don't need a diff drop. Just throw that out the window. Don't buy one of those stupid things. Okay, so now let's answer that big question. And that big question is, are 35s worth it? Is it worth all the time, money, and cutting to put them on? Let's talk. And so when it comes to fitting 35s, we talked about all the stuff to do. And I think you really got to answer 3 questions if you should put 35s on your 4Runner. The first question is, do I have enough money in my bank account to do all the correct parts and buy everything I need, not skimping on safety and not putting myself in a financially vulnerable position to fit 35s? If you got to put stuff on layaway, if you got to look at your bank account and really examine if you can afford it, guys, it's not time to do that. There is no reason to put yourself in financial uncertainty to fit bigger tires on your truck. That's a weird play, let's be honest. But if you can answer that, yeah, you know what, I think I can afford to do it. Ask yourself the next question, is it worth the time to you to cut? And if you don't have the time, is it worth to pay someone else to do it? And if you can say yes confidently to that, let's move on to the next question. The last question being, it's gonna change your everyday performance. One thing we didn't even talk about much was gearing. I have not changed my gearing. I haven't re-geared. I haven't put 4, 5, 6s. I haven't put 488s in this thing. I got stock gearing. She searches for gears like crazy on the highway here, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. Fuel economy, worse, they're heavier wheels. Does it look cool? Yeah, it looks cool. Is it worth all the other stuff? Only you can answer that. If you got the time, if you got the money, and you got the stress tolerance for when things are starting to rub, when things are breaking prematurely, yeah, go for it. If I went back in time, would I put 35s on my truck? I would. I'm not gonna lie to you. They're too cool not to. 33s look tiny. If you got 33s, you're a baby. I'm kidding, of course. Am I? No, I am. But guys, it all comes down to practicability. If you got a fun build that you're doing, you got a daily driver, yeah, have some fun with the 35s. If it's just a daily driver, 35s are gonna make your life harder. Could be cooler though too. And so guys, that is kind of my experience with fitting 35s and a little bit of what I had to do. And so I hope this video was helpful. If it was, hey, feel free to join the community, drop a like, drop a sub. It would mean the world to us, and we'll connect soon. All right, see you later.